So thank you for joining us. As usual, I'll ask, you can share what's on your mind that you'd like to be covered today, what's most on your mind, or the struggles in your life or the people around you. What do you see happening that you'd like some insights on?
Intimacy, explosive reactions.
Healthy relationships.
Okay, one sec. Okay.
Avoid it.
I don't want to talk about that one. Avoidance. Okay.
Calling in something you've never experienced before.
Okay.
Into the new, right? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Three-eyed Atlas.
I won't talk about that one. No, I won't. I've been asked a few times, and almost always I would answer on a certain question, but I'm not going to talk about that one. Or political things, I'm not going to mess with that.
How about ghosts?
I didn't ask for any other ideas. Okay. The first thing that we'll address is the idea of something that human beings just still don't even remotely get. And that is, everything we're seeing around us is a reflection of our inner self. Now, you've heard that said. Somewhere it's on a bumper sticker, I'm sure. You know, it's all cute. They're axioms and wonderful proverbs and statements. But to really, 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 really get it, it's impossible for us to see anything that isn't us. I can't see your reality, you can't see mine. But the reality we see is coming from us individually and us collectively. So we still can't avoid that it's us. Even if it's mostly held in the thoughts of other people, I'm still part of the we, and so we're still creating it. While there's one moon in the sky, that's what we chose collectively. When we collectively say, you know, it would be really cool to have two, then we'll have two. But nothing can happen by chance. These are factual, deep statements. Now, I understand all the reasons to not want to hear that too deeply. Hear it on a surface level and you're waking up from the illusion. You know, when you finally go, you know, I think that's probably true in some areas of my life. Being selective like that. At least you're kind of going a foot in the door like, yeah, maybe. To really, really get it. That there is a God, and I don't just mean the one that seems so far distant in consciousness, the one in heaven, the Father aspect of God. There is the Mother aspect of God that cannot not be here. Wherever her children are, she is. So the Holy Spirit of God is here. Jesus calls it the Comforter. I leave you with the Comforter. So that is the Mother. She can reflect comfort to us even during stressful times. But only if we choose it, because the world only reflects. The world only mirrors. So we can't see things that we're not open to seeing. And that sounds so challenging because you lose a loved one. Now you're going to get depressed and say, well, fine. So I guess on some level I created that. Who feels good about that? Who feels good about, oh, there's a war in another country I've never even heard of? That's not my fault. See, we get defensive. It's not that I'm asking us to take it on more and make it heavier on ourselves. It's just to realize I or we, this somehow is reflecting I or we, the I or us in consciousness. Now, why would I create a thing up in the sky, coming towards the earth? Why would I create a loss, a war? Why would I? It's not like we sat and went, waking up this morning, war would be really fun. It's not that I'm saying you're consciously doing it. By not choosing love every day, you keep the door open for the other things. Which means that if you're not actively calling in light, darkness is the default program. Dark matter, darkness, evil, fear. It automatically gets to run. Well, why can't we just have love as an automatic pilot? Because coming into the earth plane, we made a contract that says we want to hide from love. It's a really twisted concept. Love is feared and hated. Now that doesn't sound like really a cool concept. Love is feared, but not just feared. People hate love. And it's all kinds of deep psychology to this, deep spiritual psychology to this. We separate from God. We believe we separated. We believe we separated. We enter a fallen world that we're creating, and we're angry that love didn't save us. So we're angry at love, which is God. You see? We fear it. Why did God let this happen? And then we think, now we create an ego to cover our tracks. And the ego says, if I were you, I'd never look back at that God that let you down. You should, and not only should you not like that God, so hate it, but you should fear that God. Fear, really? Yes. I mean, God's pretty big. And if you left heaven and destroyed heaven, chances are he's after you. So hide. Where can I hide? From God's magnificence. On a planet of darkness, on a planet where there's war, hatred, politics, and so on. Something hurtling towards the earth is a wonderful statement of, that God had to have tossed that thing. It's just taken a while to get to our earth, but it had to travel all through the cosmos. But God tossed that right at, and then to get back at us for separation. So it's all kind of crazy the way we live, but the fact that we fear or even hate love is evident. I mean, we can prove it. Why do you think people look for false and settle for false versions of love? So that you don't risk having the real thing. The whole concept of, fluttering your eyelids at each other and I do. All it means is I will hide through you. I want to hide from myself and use each other. I would have had a better life if it weren't for, what? First, is it your parents? Is it your siblings? Yes, they are all annoying and they contribute to the problems at times. But whatever issues you didn't get through with them, you move them in as a partner. Now you have a life mate. Now your issues are right there. But you can always divorce them. And we do. That's why the divorce rate is so high. Just keep avoiding and avoiding. Because we're hiring people to mirror our fear and hatred of love. That's why we settle for false versions of it. But we also have other evidence. What do we do with love? We crucify it. When Jesus says, they know not what they do, he was directly addressing, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the people of this world will do to love. Which means you will be persecuted for my name's sake, he says. Partly what he's saying is, when you stand in the presence and hold the presence of love, it's not like people just go, God, I've just never been in the presence of love like this before. It's just overwhelmingly wonderful. It's going to change my life. Some people might go, wow, there's a presence. Some get annoyed. How can you be so happy? I'm not. How can you be so confident? Where do you get this faith? They hate you if you have too much faith. And then the third thing we do to love, fault find. You have somebody like Mother Teresa. She's a human being. But you have somebody like Mother Teresa. No sooner did the woman die and people go, wow, what a saint. She's patient as heck, man. I mean, how often have you hung out in leper colonies? She's really, really good, man. She's really holding faith. No sooner did she die, people started going, I heard she snored when she slept. You started finding things just to judge her for. Why? Why? Whether it's me as a spiritual, you, why? Because people have to find fault. Why? Oh, that's just human nature. No, they're crucifying goodness. They've got to, so that they can go, whew, it's not real. See, they don't have to own it. The people of the time crucifying Jesus, they had to kill him because he symbolized the love in them that they fear. They know not what they do. They beat him up. Every blow to his body, every lash of the whip was mankind's fear of love. But that we would be so disgustingly punishing of love. Look at that. But we do it also to ourselves. Love can't be real. If somebody enters your life and mirrors love in any way, Your friends are going to shoot it down. Your family members, your own head's going to shoot it down because that's what we do. We crucify goodness. We crucify love. So one of you is asking about intimacy. That's one of the petals of the flower, one of the aspects or facets, of love, intimacy, meaning into me see. So there's people that go, oh, I love that, into me see. No, you don't. You like the saying, but are you doing it? Can you say to a person, I don't know how this will turn out, but I feel like I can trust enough to say, into me see. This is who I am. This is where I come from. These are my fears and my issues. Do your partners know your greatest dreams? Do they know your greatest fears? And I'm not telling you to all sit there squeezing hands of your partners going, you never told me you're doing, I'm saying all you have to do is go, oops, how did we miss that? Tell them your biggest fears. And the day will come when it's not just your partner, your counselors, your sponsors. I've known people that have said, counseling, they're in counseling for years. I remember a gal who said she was in counseling, it was 10 or 20 years. She did a session with me. We broke open some stuff came up. We talked about it. She had huge releases. And then she said later, she goes, I've been in therapy for 10 or 20 years and that's never come up. Why? How could that be? How could you be holding in the presence of a container, a counselor? How could you go, this would be a good place to hide my stuff? Well, they weren't a good enough counselor. Then get another one. You can't make excuses. What's keeping you from doing this? Yogananda uses this term, look to the heavens and say, here I am, God. All of me. Show it all. Now, if there's any part you're too ashamed of, sit with that and journal about it. You don't have to tell anybody yet. Just do it this way. Or walk around your house and tell God about it. Because, there's a chance that he's not listening, you think. So you can safely walk around your own house, right? Well, of course, if you have one of those smart TVs, it's recording it all and putting it online for you. So unplug your systems and then try it. But really, let it out. Listen, if you die tomorrow with this stuff, it is you. You take it with you. And on the other side, they go, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. Wow, I'm so happy to be in the light. They say, well, that's nice. Enjoy the view for a second. Because we're looking at your files, and apparently you have this issue, unhealed, never trusted, and that's you. So we have to assign your future lifetime. I refuse. Just say that. I refuse. I refuse to carry stuff over. No secrets. Nothing left, no stone left unturned. What do you want to know, God? What do you want to know, Michael? What do you want to know? Tell counselors. I don't mean blurt things inappropriately. You don't take your 3-year-olds and go, listen, kids, mommy's got big issues and here's what they are. They're going to, wow, now they got to go into therapy. But something like, come on, find good cause. But when you do, when you find that I'm a good place to share, your counselors, your therapists, your sponsors, friends, and you start broadening, not blurting, not dumping your stuff, but appropriately sharing. It's very, very therapeutic. It's very powerful, but it's bigger than that. You have taken what was darkness in your being and you've released it, which means you don't carry it, which means it doesn't have to manifest for you. It might manifest for a moment because that's where you get to prove how authentic you were about your release. If you say, I'm just being so unconditional, I'm going to go ahead and release this, and then it mirrors back to you, like an example of that issue comes up, and you panic, and I'll never tell anybody again, that's a normal reaction. But is that the reaction you want locked into your reality? There's a saying in various traditions, Islam being one of them, but, write your gifts, write your good karma, write it, in concrete. But all your challenges and sins, write in sand. Why? Because it could wash away easily. Concrete, yeah, own the good things. I am solidifying that I am a loving person, or I'm patient. I love this about I'm so creative. I love the presence of God in my creativity. Own your gifts, own these things. Put them in concrete, but put in sand the stuff that you want to just, like the sand painting of the Buddhists. Like just it's an illusion, and let it just go back to this world. Give it back. It's nothing. Let it be. And so intimacy we're not just talking about an act, like a physical act. We're talking about the concept. Intimacy. And intimacy becomes affection, where I share more affectionately and receive more affectionately. And this is a messed up world, so it's hard to do. One hug and you got people getting trippy about it. Somebody's going, oh my God, they hugged me. Will you marry me? And that's a little rushed, isn't it? Other people are going, oh, a hugger, I heard about them. Probably a Mother Teresa book. Because you got to tie into together all your resentments and fears. So it's ridiculous. But are you coming out at all? Just try. And when you do, write it in cement. I'm more trusting today. Yeah, lock it in. Give thanks for it. And when it goes south, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, it's just 1 step back, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that somebody betrayed your confidence. I'm sorry that somebody, pushed too hard on an old wound. I'm sorry about that. But don't give up. Go another 2, 3 steps forward, and you will have a step back, which is why Jesus says, in this world you'll have suffering. What he's saying is there will be a step back every so often in this world. When he says, I've overcome the world, he means get back to your center, get back to faith, and start making some steps forward again. If you can say, well, I would love that. That's a nice theory, Michael. 2 steps forward, 3 steps forward. That's really great. But every time I try, I get knocked back 2. And some people actually have evidence of that in their life, that it is that challenging for them. And I'm sorry. And all I know is it's still something that comes as a mirror into your consciousness. So we have to do an overhaul, not a tune-up. You need an overhaul when life keeps looking that dramatic. Overhaul, of course, means deeper levels of looking, and I don't mean obsessing, but deeper levels of honest looking. Also forgiving yourself mistakes. You got to be honest, because if there's such a thing as karma, then a lot of the things that are coming into our lives is going to be karmic. Where's that coming from? Not God. They say karma is a law of God. It is not. There is no God actually keeping track, although people think that. That's just a simplistic way of describing God, keeping track, and God has this scale. I remember getting scared to heck, like as a kid. How do you know if you go to heaven or hell? I was little, and someone said, well, God has this scale and your good deeds and your bad deeds. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I pile up good deeds on that one side? I'm like 3 and I'm like, what can I do to change the world? Well, it's a bit heavy, but it's simplistic so that people understand it. But it doesn't exist. God creates us in its perfect image. Perfect doesn't mean karmic. So perfect image. Then what happened between perfect image and karmic debts? Forgive us our debts doesn't mean God holds them against us. It really is going to come down to, when you get the Lord's Prayer, it really is about guide us when we're in temptation. Guide us when we are tempted to believe that we're bad people and that we have debts. It really is it needs to turn into an affirmation of consciousness, not a fear of. Save me from this and save me from that. So intimacy is not just with a partner, it's with life. Be intimate with the world. And if you really want to know intimacy means I'm open to intimacy. Let's look at a reflection, which means if you look in a pond and you see a beautiful lotus flower comes floating by, a petal of a rose floats by. What a weird synchronicity. I was saying, show me, God, what you want me to know today. And rose petals floated down the stream in front of me. Beautiful. Intimacy. On the other hand, you look into a pond and you look and there's a barrel down at the bottom and it has the toxic waste symbol on it. Whoa. Do you give up? No, you say, wow, that's a reflection of how deep I'm going today. I'm going to go all the way into my toxic waste because I'm having an intimacy moment.
Amen.
Can I hear an amen? Avoidance, which one of you brought up, avoidance is every attempt to not look at this. So every thought you have is a prayer. Every word and every action. They're all prayers. Well, how do I know that? Because they're going out and they will bring things back. So prayer, we think, is just a religious thing. Like I pray to God and sometimes God hears me. That's that superstitious version of prayer. We don't realize, we don't want to own, we want to avoid the idea that all prayers are answered. They have to be, because the universe is perfect in that sense. And it perfectly mirrors what? My prayers. You mean when you're at your bedside going, give me, I would really like this or that in my life? That's just overt prayer. Every thought, every doubt, every fear is a prayer, and the world keeps reflecting it. Now, who wants to believe in that God? Because God is the thing that answers prayers. Yes, the Holy Spirit is a part of the Trinity of God. The Divine Mother is always saying, and because I love you, I'm going to always reflect. Well, why would you reflect toxic waste to me, Divine Mother? Why don't you fix it? No, she says. No. What's the it you want fixed? Toxic waste. She says, I don't have any. You're the one that seems to have it. So I'm reflecting it to you. Why punish me so? What do you mean punish? I'm showing it to you so you can say, I want that or I don't. And if I don't, do something about it, people. Like change. Just make a change. Or the Course in Miracles uses the phrase, choose again. When you see toxic waste, go, And toxic waste could be a partner. It could be toxic memories from past lives. It just means unhealthy. I don't like seeing that. I know, and I'm sorry. But this is you. This isn't something God is giving to you, putting on you. This is you. So can we really learn to get comfortable with hurtful, selfish partners are mirroring what is us temporarily, our beliefs about ourselves. They're selfish. The word narcissism is used everywhere now. All of a sudden, you have a parent that's a narcissist based on your label, and a partner. And I get all that. I know why we do that. But my point is, they're narcissistic, but what does it mean? Well, they always just gaslit me. They always just overrode what I wanted and said. And who was letting that happen? Well, I couldn't say anything because it was my mom. I didn't want her to hate me. Hey, you know what? Step up. If she decides to hate, that's her thing. You need to step up and own who you are. The narcissist is telling us, I never want to be that extreme, but you're not supposed to be. Neither the victimizer, narcissist, nor the victim. What made you think that being the victim was better? You know why? Because we actually think the world is out to get us. We actually think we're shameful, wrong, sinful people. And therefore, having a narcissist is part of our what we deserve. That's not being awake. Being awake is in the center. So in the center, we say, I know I don't want to be this, but this isn't good either. This looks better, because everybody would prefer giving love and time to victims. Victimizers, people are annoyed by. So I don't want to be that. I want to be this one. But who told you there's only two options? In the center, you're neither this nor this. You just know what works for you and what doesn't. You still have a pendulum, but it just swings like this. Doesn't go to the extremes. The ego loves to push duality so that we get nowhere. And the concept of calling in the new. And I love the way it was worded in a sense, but calling in the new. That sounds like such an easy thing. Wow, I'm just calling in the new to my life. I'm working with a life coach or a counselor, and they're helping me call in the new. But if there's no room in the inn, what are we going to do? You can bring in new affirmations. I love myself and I have value, but if deep down you've got this toxic stuff, there's no room. So it's all a very delicate dance. There's a moment to, like to everything there is a time, and to everything there's a purpose. So understand, everything's mirroring to me, but what I need to do is a balance. There's times to release the old, cry it out, and there's times, blow your nose, stand up, and begin walking into a new life. If you only try the new, and some of you will know what I'm saying here, if you keep trying the new and it keeps going south on you, I can tell you there's likely one primary cause: no room. And I know you're working hard. Some of you are like, I try every day to bring in the... Wait. Generally speaking, the primary cause of the new not working is there's too much of the old. Well, yeah, but I don't want to talk about you. That's silly. That's in the past. Seems to me it's quite present. This is your, 15th session on the same issue, and it's not going anywhere. We need to look at this. Let's talk deeper. Let's work deeper. That's why sometimes just standard therapy isn't going to be enough. Sometimes flying under the radar, sneak in there to get some deeper stuff, you for yourself, but also with clients. Do something unusual. Try some body work if you know how to bring somatic work to the healing. Or ask them, let's try some spontaneous dialogue. Let's try some psychodrama. Let's try journaling. Get them to try something they haven't tried. Because something needs to chisel that stuff up. It's just too ingrained. Whatever technique. And it could be NLP, and there's all kinds of things out there that, that are helpful. But somebody will try only one and think it doesn't work and give up. Or, some people, they don't realize they're trying a couple things and they don't work. But sometimes they don't allow you to fly in under the radar. You have too many guards up, defenses up. So you go to your counselor and you have all your avoidant techniques. All your, oh, look, is that a butterfly? All these techniques to avoid. There are things you can do. First of all, as a parent, as a partner, as a friend, as a leader, a teacher, a counselor, there are things you can do to shift all of that. And one of them is, if you are clear enough in your stuff and you are present enough, you create a container that becomes irresistible for their soul to say, I'm stepping into that. And the ego in them will scream and rant and do its thing. And your confidence downloads to those others, including your own children, partners, whatever. It downloads to them. And guess what? All of a sudden they have new levels of courage. Where did it come from? From someone that held it for them. When you do that, when you hold space, love, light, and so on, for others, you're actually being an embodiment of the Divine Mother, because that's what she does. Always holding space, always mirroring, always reflecting. And why? Because when we say, I don't like the reflection, she says, would you like some feedback on how to change the reflection? I didn't say I wanted that. I just said, I don't like this. Oh, you just want to complain? Yes, okay, go for it. And she holds such perfect space. But you have the right to say to partners that are struggling with things, enough is enough. This is as much time as I can give this. And that's for your own healthiness. Are you giving up on them? No. No, you don't even have the power to give up on them. God created them as holy beings. Your giving up on them can't actually do the damage you think it can. It might temporarily annoy somebody, temporarily offend somebody, but in reality, you can't, abandon them. Spiritually speaking, they're in the hands of God. Your job is to do what you can, where you can, in a way that is affordable to you energetically. Do what you can, mainly, they say, be an example. But also an example meaning mind, body, and soul. Be an example of faith and courage and so on. And own when you're weak. Own when you're wonderful counselor. You heal everybody of all kinds of issues, and one day you're struggling. And just, do I mean email them all your clients, and say, I know you thought I was a great counselor, but I'm a hypocrite and I have issues. Because those are some of the feelings you have. No, don't. But go to somebody, it's called a safe other. Go to someone where you can say, can I? And they might say, oh, today's not a good day for me to hold space. And I think that's honest and loving. But when they say, yes, I think it's so cool. You can tell me anything. And here it comes. And it's just so lovely. It's just so amazing. And you focus on what they're saying. Oh my God, that's heavy stuff. No, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Yes, it's heavy stuff, but your focus is not supposed to be on how heavy this stuff is they're sharing with you. Your focus is supposed to be on where you're going with it. Moments from now, you have no idea. This is in subconscious, back in the back of your mind, you should be thinking, I know this is really hard for you to talk about. In the back of your mind, you're saying, but you have no idea the good you're going to feel in a moment. Just, come on, you can do this. You can do this. You're holding space. And they come out with it, and you don't judge them. That's the first thing. Why is it important for you not to judge them? Because they already do that enough on themselves. You're not judging them is showing them And you could also respond this way to this. We know how you already respond. Here's another option. I'm sorry to hear that. And then showing them faith. Faith just doesn't mean like faith in an invisible God. I'm talking about faith meaning you actually have faith in the light of your brother and sister to pull through this. There's all kinds of examples where in this world that doesn't go well. But you remember the band Three Dog Night, right? Joy to the World and all these amazing songs and hits. These are three guys that started off as, we're taking on the world, man. Three Dog, we are together. We're like tethered together, man. And they're like, wow, and harmony and melody and everything was, their whole theme was us singing together and finding harmony. Three voices. It was very unique. And then a backup band. By the time of their career, roughly 4 years, let's say, at their peak. And they had, oh, I forget, dozens of top 20 hits and all that. Dozens. I mean, they broke all these records. But by the time their career was over, they actually announced they got separate managers, and they had it in their contract. When we go to a hotel, if they don't have 3 elevators, one at a time, because we don't want to breathe the same air. How do you stand on stage playing together going, get behind me, Satan, to your bandmates? It's nuts. They had to have this in their contracts. And then if the hotel said we only have 1 elevator, they had to work it out where one gets to stay on the base floor, the first floor, so they didn't have to enter an elevator. I mean, it's so twisted. And this is what we do to avoid our stuff. And it was tragic. And one of them descended into heroin addiction. He went almost 40 times into rehab. It's got to be a record in some cities. 40 times. But he also was running out of money. I'm not going to get into all the details, but the cute long hair with a kind of handlebar mustache almost. Great voice, Chuck Negron. And the dude, borrowing money from his bandmates so that he can get more drugs and then not paying them back. So there was such hatred that they would not speak to each other after breaking up. And it's just such weird, like, where's the love? And he got clean and sober. He made amends. He went back to his bandmates and said, you're right. I can't even defend it. I'm totally selfish. He says those words. He needed drugs so bad he was selling his teeth to a crooked dentist so that he could get any amount of money to buy any amount of drugs. So toothless he became. Homeless. He was sleeping in abandoned buildings in LA. This is a top, notch musician, is successful. But at the end, he tried to go back and say, this was all me, and I'm sorry. They wouldn't speak to him. They said there was too much professional trauma. And I get where they're at. Always hear where people are at. Even if it sounds unreasonable, the hatred, the hatred's there. Don't nag them about the hatred, because that's going to make them hate you now. Just hear them and say, I understand. When you make amends, there is no guarantee people are going to say, well, now that you made amends, I think we're good. Sometimes there's hurt they won't let go of, and sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes their hurt is because you're the 15th person that did this, and they just can't brush it off anymore. So you become the symbol of where they're going, the whipping post. You become the symbol of, I'm taking it out on you. And you could say, well, that's unfair. There were 15 people. It doesn't matter. This is what they're mirroring today. Own it, accept it, say sorry, do what you can to be present with them patiently. If you're lucky, they will hear you and amends can be made. All of this stuff that seems so complex in this world is all going to be ironed out eventually. I will wipe away all tears, God says. It's all going to come to an end. And if you and I know that, then we should start feeling better about it already. The more we're like, no, I refuse to let this one issue go. You have that right. And you know what? We should all be saying, and we're sorry, because what causes that? Hurt. Do you think we should click our heels and laugh at people's hurt? No, we're really sorry and we're here for you. Absolutely. But when you want to know about the other thing, a second doorway you can choose, the one to peace and healing and compassion and love and expansiveness, there is this other thing. Present it and step back. That's what the mother does to us every day. She doesn't force, she doesn't preach. She holds space. And the space she's holding is two-sided, so to speak. One where you're at and one where you can go. And we keep choosing this one. Where we're at and how we got there. All the stuff that's happened. And you should talk about that when it comes up. You should, when you see triggers, mirror, when you see in the mirror horror stories, you should look at that. You should take advantage of that and go, wow, something new is coming up here. I got to look at this and work with this. But always take that breath in of all that old stuff and cry it out and vomit and do what you need to do. But at some point, exhale, and your next breath should be, and now what? Peace instead of this. Love instead of this. More patience. The next breath should be literally the presence of God, literally the presence of love. And the more confident we are about that, the more it'll actually happen. We cannot have a new life if we don't own where the old one came from. So again, as I'm going to start closing now, get to that place of none of it's by accident. Someone's annoying. What do you need to learn from that? Sometimes it's a direct mirror that you're annoying. Other times it's an indirect mirror. They're annoying, but it's because of patience you need to learn. Or maybe you need to work on triggers of judgment, whatever it is. Ask and you shall receive. You'll get the insights. If you're open, ask with this behavior. If that's your mantra, you get to the other side and say, I even practiced mantra. They're going to be like, yeah, la, 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 la. That's not a mantra. You were avoidant. You didn't want to hear or know anything. Well, nobody told me. They did. They did. You know how many times you were married just in this lifetime? 15 is not a good number. That's like, wow. Oh, but it was only 7. That's a cosmic number. No. I have 7 chakras, 7 marriages. It seems to make sense. No, it just means you had 1 for each screwed upness in each of your chakras. When you're a speaker, you can make up words. So it's like, wow, like, really? Yes, yes. Nothing by accident, nothing by chance. And the more we own that and realize that, things start shifting. I know it sounds negative and horrible. I got to sit and start owning. I didn't say obsess on, and I certainly didn't say put them on yourself like a heavy weight to judge yourself with. I'm saying just a moment of this is not by chance. All I see is part of me. It's impossible for that to not be true. All I see is part of me. Hey, have you heard there's a new full moon? That's me. I hear full moons. You know what they do? They do. That's where we get that lunacy, because it's lunar. It's the moon, right? So full moon, people tend to go crazy. And no, I refuse. I think I'm going to just go ahead and sit and go, no. I heard the full moons. No, not if I don't want it to. One reason to get a good astrological chart and to sometimes look at your forecast is to see what you don't want to do and do it. Do something else. Read it. Don't go, uh-oh. Group email, leave me alone this month because this forecast said I'll be in a bad mood. No. See it, own how it might be showing up if and when it does, and choose again. That's it. I remember Alan Cohen once when we were speaking at a conference. He said, what I do when I read forecasts in astrology, like a magazine that has a forecast, he said, and I read it, and let's say he's a Leo and he reads Leo, and look out, watch out. He goes, I just flip to another sign. That's healthy denial. Because you're not pretending that's not there, but you know what? What do you want to create? Where do you want to go? Full moons and asteroids and whatever else. They're mirroring us. Sun flares, watch out. Last week there was a sun flare. So anytime now, let's just sit going, oh my God, any moment. Certainly be aware that if certain flare and certain things and just scrambles your electronics, sure, nothing wrong with being aware. Nothing wrong with saying it's going to rain, I think I'll put on a coat. Nothing wrong with mild adapting. But to live in terror over it, or what's worse, to think it There's an it to do something to you. And so we go full circle and we go to Edgar Casey's concept and comments, and Rudolf Steiner for that matter, but sun flares don't do things. The full moon, planetary alignments don't do to you. They're reflecting where we're at. A full moon comes around every so many weeks or days because we need to clear our emotional body, and that's one way to do it. But it doesn't work if you blame everybody for what's in your emotional body. So that's why we still have full moons. Why didn't we only need one? Full moon, got it. Boop, everything's good. Now the moon's like, oh, I think I'll just retire. Retire Saturn. Saturn, the planet of karma. Retire it. Nothing can do anything. No one. Michael, I need to talk to you. I was in this partnership. They took my power away. How did they do that? Did you leave it on a counter somewhere? And how did someone take your power? Seriously, how did that happen? Well, they enabled my ability. They took away and they wouldn't listen to me. Listen, your power is given by God. People can't actually take it. Your power is actually thoroughly stitched into your being. It can't be removed. It's not a block in a toy house. It's not a puzzle piece. The power is a part of who I am. They can't take it. What can happen is they can come along mirroring your own self-doubts. You can react to them based on your self-doubts and go into that place of emptiness. And now it looks like they took it. They only took what you gave out, and you only gave out an illusion of your power because you can't give away your real power. So a solar flare-up, a solar storm, if we are, Jesus says, ye are gods. And if we are all part of the Christ, and I assure you we are, despite our behaviors, if we're all part of the Christ, which is also called the Son of God, you remember that? Son of God. Astrologically, it means the sun. We are the light of the solar system, of the world. We are the light. But what's happening? Well, there was a sun flare. Who's the sun? You. So all the sun is doing is sitting there going, the whole universe is a mirror, and I'm one of them. I'm just a reflection. So there's a solar flare. The soul is and we think of solar and the word soul. What's in our hearts and souls simply becomes this energy that we put out. The sun sits there and says, and so it is. So the sun, in a sense, receives our flare. You think you're afraid of solar flares. The sun's out there going, oh God, here comes another human flare. Because our stuff goes out to the sun, and the sun says, I have to reflect this sun. So it flares, and we say, oh God, solar flares did this to us and that to us. No, our own karmic reactions to our own thoughts, words, and deeds. The poor sun. Not that I'm saying I wish its fire would go away, because that wouldn't go well. But does the sun warm us, or does it torment us? And when it torments, it isn't doing anything. Unfortunately, it's mirroring our own stuff. The more we're into hatred on this planet, and you see it in politics and all kinds of areas, the sun's going to have to reflect it. So you should be able to be a great prophet, prophetess by looking. You want to know what's coming? Look at the way people are behaving. That's going to give you a big clue. See? Just look at, next year might be a little challenging. How do I know that? Oh, well, look at the hatred. It's going to come back. And we can turn it all around. Most importantly, anchor in the presence of God the best way you can. How many people do you convert to do that? That's not your job. Your job is to be, not do. Be the presence. Let any kind of so-called doing just be a natural emanation of the being. So there's not a separate effort. I'm trying to be loving, but I'm doing all kinds of angry stuff. Let one come from the other. Let it be a very beautiful, organic experience, a very holistic experience. Is all that making sense? I've covered most of your requests. So, I just ask you to soak that in, whether it was your request or the group just getting something from these ideas. Remember, man, it's so sad that love is so feared and hated. So don't be surprised, and that's partly why Jesus said, you're going to be persecuted for my name's sake. What he's saying is, I'm the presence of love, and I'm getting badgered. You can expect the same thing. Don't hope for it. Don't make it fatalistic, but don't be shocked. People will react a certain way towards love, whatever the case may be. All kinds of reasons they'll come up to justify those behaviors. But none of them are, anger is never justified. It's a reaction that I don't want to look at. Anger, hatred is clearly behaviors that are coming from a person that doesn't want to look at themselves. When you see that happening, just bless them and say, may you find peace looking at yourself. Please take a few centering breaths. Father, Mother, God, in our hearts and souls, we carry, we bear deep feelings, sometimes seen as darkness, fear, hurt, anger, sadness. We see it. We feel it. If ever we doubt or don't know all these pieces, all we have to do is we look at the world. Take a moment and look at the world, whether it's economic, whether it's street violence, verbal assassination, whatever it is. Look at the stuff. You don't have to take it on personally, but look at it. Insanity, hatred, fear. Father, Mother, God, it saddens me to see these things because I recognize that we all carry this and contribute to it. Sometimes by overtly choosing darkness and sometimes by not choosing light, we contribute. This is not your will. So I stand in this moment and I allow the Holy Spirit to reflect into my mind one or two of my primary lessons today. Show me. Now, it could be a word, it could be an emotion, it could be a person's image. Whatever they are, behind them is the message, not the image. Behind, if you bring up somebody in your mind, she brings up somebody in your mind, and it brings up anger or sadness, betrayal, then you know that's the word, betrayal, that you have to work on. It doesn't mean you literally have to call that person, work with that person, deal with that person. Just get the point. Look at what's happening in the world. Look what's happening in your personal life. Let the Holy Spirit show you an image or two, and that's what you're working on today. If it's something you'd rather have not come up, I'm sorry, but it did. So she must have faith in you to think that you can handle this. You don't have to fix it. You have to recognize it's there and its symptoms. Accept that on a deeper level it's affecting your life, simple words. And then choose to surrender it as unconditionally as possible. To you, Father, Mother, God, I surrender not only this person, this event, this feeling, but everything else related to it, even from other lifetimes. Every body, everything, every feeling related to this, I'm giving it up as thoroughly as possible. Lift it from my heart. I have the right to ask for this, and I'm choosing that. Lift it from my heart at miraculous levels. We are two or more gathered. We also choose as a group to surrender all that the sun and all the planets, asteroids and such mean to us. All of our negative connotations, but even connotations that say this planet will bring me love. No, it will mirror that I deserve love. All the planets retiring all the heavy energy we put on them. All people, all nations, all skin colors, all genders, the planets, angels, demons, light beings, aliens. I do not know how to truly perceive any of you, so I'm giving you all to the Holy Spirit and asking her to retranslate my image of you. Let me see you all as God created you to be, perfect holiness. Peace on earth, peace in earth, peace in me, peace being the presence of God. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, and it's right here, in us, through us, as us. Anything but that I give to you, Father, Mother, God. I choose nothing but your presence. And I'm grateful that I can make this choice. And I forgive myself for all previous decisions otherwise. And lastly, I deny the effects of all those previous decisions. I unplug them and they have no power over me. No karma, no karmic effects from fear-based decisions and actions. Done. I retire you all. Goodbye. And I choose instead to be guided by the presence of God. Breathe in that possibility. Breathe in that truth. Breathe in that presence. And I'm so grateful that choosing again is as close as my own heart. Nothing I have to seek, search for, it's right here. And I have done so. Praise God. And so it is. Thank you. Send her back into the room. As you're reacclimating, we're going to do our closing prayer in a moment, but as you're reacclimating, tune in. What did you learn or hear today that's most important for you? Yes? Intimacy. Yeah. It's like intimate, an in-time mate, a mate in time, meaning not a partner, lover, a mate, a friend, like the British sense of mate. Intimacy, but an in-time mate, a friend in time. So to be truly intimate means to recognize that you have friends and allow them in. Always in healthy ways, and stick with healthy ways only as your mantra. Anyone else? Yes?
Forgive with grace and may all those see and learn their lessons with grace.
Yeah, forgive with grace and affirm that. Let others learn their lessons with grace, with as much ease as possible, which is another way of saying to them subconsciously, you don't need to be afraid of love. You don't need to be afraid of love. When Jesus is resurrecting people from the dead, the Bible's very clear about that. When they saw him raise Lazarus, for example, from the dead, it was from that moment on they plotted to kill him. Why would raising someone from the dead make you want to kill them? Because it's too scary to imagine someone is that clear. You're afraid of love. That's the presence of God, obviously. No. And it starts going on in their heads like, I could be out of a job. If you have the presence of God, nobody will need me. Then I'll be broke. Yeah, you might have to get a real job, You're preaching hypocrisy. Yeah, I'm sorry that's inconvenient for you, but oh well. But they got afraid, and he saw that, and he forgive them. They know not what they do. Anyone else? Yes? Saturn, yeah, the planet of karma. One teacher of the past called Saturn the planet of earthly woes. Saturn is astrological. Saturn is the planetary version of Satan, Saturn and Satan. And what is Satan? The one that punishes you for sins, but yet so is karma. So they're all the same. Once upon a time, ancient people recognized Saturn is just a part of us. It's one of our refractions, one of our reflections of consciousness. So Saturn is our fears and karmic stuff, and it has an important place. In mythology, it's interesting that that although you have evil characters in all mythology throughout the world, a lot of times the characters like Hades, they're not actually out to punish you for something. They're only there to reflect you. You know, they're only there to say, don't hate me. You're the one who ended up here. You know, I'm only doing my job. So Saturn is not an evil planet by any stretch. There's great qualities Saturn brings, but it does reflect the karma, because something has to reflect it. So, you know, there you have it. Anyone else? Yes.
The way you were saying how people will just like bring affirmations, however, they don't really want to look deep, so it doesn't fit, and it's so right there.
Yeah. The use of positivity, affirmation, why it doesn't sometimes shift things. Can it be that God was on a holiday? No. Can it be that on certain days of the year that there's no good? No. Can it be that you use the wrong words? No. As long as you're coming from your heart, it's got to be the right word. What could cause me for my prayers to not work? What could cause that? It's what's behind it. So just imagine being the captain and admiral or whatever of a ship and saying, it's time, we're going to take off to the high seas. Drop anchor immediately. It kind of doesn't make sense, but that's what we do. I want to change my life. Anchor. It's not a coincidence. Anchor and anger are so close to each other. You know, I'm dropping 2 anchors, 3 anchors. You know, I got to make sure I don't get anywhere. But why isn't it happening? And now you're out on the front of the ship, go, oh God, why? And I can't believe. Let's pray harder. Come on, Lord. Just trade your religions. You know, namaste. You know, try all kinds of things. Boom shakalaka. Whatever's going to work to get the ship going. If you don't own what's hurting you from your past, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's this nice, beautiful, delicate balance of work. All right, we're going to do our collection and do our closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be with your donations. Folks online, there'll be a button you can click to make donations. And if you're in the room, remember, the bags are where you put your donations. The beautiful purple bags. The green baskets are for any extra donations. Change from the bottom of your purse, or you know, a tithe or a donation from money you came into, or just whatever gift you want. We use that for people of lesser means or sometimes special projects. Okay? So we thank you. One thing that we're raising funds for right now is we're replacing all the ceiling fluorescent lights with healthier, nicer lighting. I'm talking about the recessed big panels. So that's a few grand. So if it calls to you, we'd appreciate your helpfulness. Hold your donation to your heart with full intention. All your thoughts, your words, they're prayers. So let this be prayer from your heart. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. So thank you so much. Please stand for our closing prayer. Oh, and I should add, I probably should have mentioned this before we went live because some of the folks online won't relate, but one of our primary folks here, Dosi, had a bit of an accident recently. She's fine, but it was up in the Flagstaff area, had an accident, major fracture of her skull, but they had to put Dosi Dumpty back together again. This was in pieces, and they had surgery a couple days ago. It happened a few days ago. So the next day they had to do surgery, and she's in recovery, but it's hard to know how long that's going to take. They're going to keep her a while. We're all holding her in prayers, and she's been in communication with one of our folks, but we don't want to overwhelm. Don't email her. Don't text her. Don't call her. She doesn't even have her phone. So don't do any of that. Just in prayer. We know she'd like to be a private person, but at the same time, she's not here. So we're we're allowed to say we're sending you love and prayers, you know. And don't get too anxious about that, Dosey. We don't want to blow a fuse here, blow a stitch. So we love her, and those of you who know, she's a big part of our center. But even coming back is unlikely at the full capacity that she was. She'll need to back off on a lot of the jobs and responsibilities. So we're going to be sharing that with more of the folks here. But she's a lovely soul and a great example of somebody that very obviously, admittedly, has worked on herself and made major changes in the, 15 years, 12 years or so that she's been here at the center. So she's a poster child of going from really challenging past to a place of more and more and more faith, even though she struggles now and again with stuff. Everybody does. She's open about these things, and she's really a light in so many ways to us all. So we won't bring it up again, but we're just letting you know that's happened. And you can hold her in prayer, okay? It's 11:11, so, it's very, very cool. God bless you all. Thank you. Holding a deep breath of appreciation, love, a dedication of the service to you, Dosey, your soul, a dedication to all of us having moments of doubt and fear, despair even, with life, the world. Let not your heart be troubled. We know the hurt, we know the sadness, we know the pain, we know fear. To all beings in this world, even the ones not asking for help, political leaders, religious leaders, parents, single moms, dads, people going through divorce and challenges, financial fears. We're so sorry. This is the world we've created, and that's changing now. Let us all collectively choose to give it all to God unconditionally and welcome in the peace and love we all deserve. Peace to you all. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thank you.